During the last 2 years, we have created over 200 Old Soul, New Soul Astrology podcast episodes. Realizing you may have missed some of that incredible early knowledge, we created a free PDF show log of all the episodes. It's free, it's downloadable, and it's searchable. Find out all the episodes we've done about the nodes or any other topic that you're interested in. To download yours now, go to funastrology.com at the top, either the freebie section or under the Robert Glasscock tab. Welcome back to the Old Soul, New Soul Astrology podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for joining us and for your favorable comments of what we're doing here. Spread the word to your astrology friends. And if you happen to leave us a great review in Apple Podcasts, that helps as well. As we are doing this in real time here in May and June of 2024, we're just entering Gemini season, and Venus and the Sun and Jupiter are all pretty close together right now, and thought it would be interesting to tackle the topic of the planets of love and desire, knowing the difference between the two as well. Robert?
Love and desire. Here we go. Mars rules the desire part. Mars rules lust, for example. It co-rules Scorpio of sex. Venus rules attraction, love. The symbol for Venus is very much like a hand mirror, if you think about it. A woman's hand mirror that has a circle with the mirror in it and a handle below it, which you hold to look at yourself in the mirror. And we are drawn to people by love who share us. We see us in them to some extent, and we fall in love with them. Now, those two planets, what you are drawn to and attracted to, it's the law of gravity, really, the attraction between two objects, is Venus. And Venus has a lot to do with the natural second house ruler of self-worth. So we're looking for, and we find often, another human being, at least to our minds and hearts, reflects the best in us. They see us the way that we would like to be seen, at least we think. The sexual side of it, the desire side of it, may or may not harmonize with love in our lives. And certain signs, we were talking in another episode about your Venus in Virgo, which is a natural fixer-upper. So it will tend to be drawn to people who either need healing that we can provide or who can help heal us. Because Venus in Virgo is always aware of the little things that are off, that need fixing. And so it's not a sign of satisfaction, because it's constantly aware of, oh, this is off, this needs to be fixed, and so on. Venus can be in another sign, Scorpio, for example, which is opposite the sign that Venus rules, which is Taurus. And Venus in Scorpio couples love, which is Venus, with Scorpio, which is desire. So it has a chance of finding both in a partner or more than one partner. But you have to consider Mars as well. Mars is the physical side of love. Sometimes Mars is in, say, an air sign, which really is sexually attracted to people who are intellects in a way, who share an intellectual interest with us. Mars is an earth sign, tends to be pretty earthy. Taurus and Capricorn and Virgo, for example, it tends to be pretty earthy. Not always, because aspects can complicate things. Mars in a water sign is going to be emotionally, sexually attracted to people. It has a really intense emotional reaction to it, which has nothing to do with logic or reason or rationality or anything. These are the compelling attractions in life. You see somebody and you think, oh my God, I would love to go to bed with them. I would love to be possessed by them. I would love to possess them. It's a very intense, very irrational kind of Mars. So you want to look in the chart to see if the love nature, which is Venus and what you're drawn to there, harmonizes with Mars, which is the desire side of it. Sometimes even those two planets might be in mutual reception, for example, which is a good thing, because planets in mutual reception can read back in the sign that they rule as well as the sign they're in. For example, you could have Venus in Scorpio and Mars in Libra. Well, they're in mutual reception. So you can read the Mars back in Libra, but retaining the same degree that Mars was in at birth. And you conversely can read Venus in Scorpio also back in Libra, its home sign, retaining again the sign that Venus was in. So mutual reception between Mars and Venus can often show a harmony in essence. Now, there can be other aspects to those planets that make it complicated. But in essence, you want to look at those two planets. The planet, the sign that Venus is in, which gives you it's what you're drawn to from an attraction standpoint. Mars, on the other hand, is what you really desire. Sometimes those will be harmonious and sometimes they won't. If you have Mars in an air sign, for example, you're turned on by smart people. You like smart people. If you have Venus in an air sign, again, you're drawn to smart people because it's an air sign. So you want to share intellectual and mental interests together. So it depends a lot on what those two signs are doing as far as the difference between love and desire.
You know, this is an interesting topic and one that, as a Scorpio with Mars right on the sun at the same degree, do you not think that these desires have been a challenge for me, especially before all my hormones went down, somewhere to Mexico or south somewhere? They're gone.
That's where they went. I was wondering.
But when they were here, OMG, right? It's like, the chart just doesn't even have any kind of way of expressing what was going on inside of me. It's probably why I have heart problems right now of not knowing how to process it well.
Man, I got to tell you, though, just incidental to that.
Yeah.
Being single, being divorced, being separated is so much better for your heart than if you had stayed married. If you'd stayed, and, I think about you and the family situation all the time. Not all the time, but often. And it's hard to say it, but it's very true. In a way, Thomas, that episode in Dallas saved your life. As hard as it is. Because that, we've talked about it, that the old death and rebirth symbol, that it was really a form of death, and it's hard.
We didn't know when we had that phone call when I was driving out of North Carolina. We didn't know. Wow.
But anyway, there is a lot less stress on your heart as a result of that episode.
Well, that's what I was going to kind of ask as a follow-up was, can we get these crisscrossed? Because Venus, the pure essence of Venus and love for me got so overcome by the pure hormonal drive of Mars and Scorpio and the sun and Neptune all quagmired up together. That's why that lady in Denver said, "Oh, this chart makes me dizzy." And why Robert Hand looked at my chart and said, "Well, sounds like you've made it through." How do we get these right? Let's say that somebody's conflicted like I was, overdriven by this incredibly strong formation in their chart. How do we get it right, especially as young as possible?
Well, you don't. You follow your natural instincts and desires because you've got a biological, biochemical, electromagnetic urge. It's hormonal. It's physical. You follow those and see where they lead you. Some people go down as a result of that. Some people evolve, begin to become conscious of sex and what it means on a higher level, which is a transformative level. And ultimately, they may become very spiritual through sex. There are a lot of sex cults around the world. Aleister Crowley was one. So the idea of sex and spirituality, the Da Vinci Code, it's the same thing. It's all together. You read Shakespeare, it's the same thing. Sex and religion, sex and spirituality. They're very mixed.
Mars and Venus, Venus and Mars. Didn't a guy write a book about those two? I think so. Thank you, Robert, for this. And if you'd like to check out a reading with Robert, maybe to talk about your own relationship or anything else going on, his contact information is in the show notes. Our Discord link, everything else is there as well. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on the Old Soul, New Soul Astrology Podcast.